Hi friends, John Carswell here, and happy Easter to you. I want to tell you, there's a little game I play when I go out, when I'm at the airport or the train station or I'm out shopping, and I call it the biography game, and maybe you play it too. Anytime I see someone, I write a little biography for them. Like, look at that guy. He looks like he's got some money, or maybe he's just carrying a lot of debt. Who knows? Or she's a pretty face. She looks like an executive type. I wonder if she has kids. I wonder, is she married? Maybe she's a career woman. Or look at that face. I wonder, is that pain or is that anger that I see on that face? Or what about that little boy? He looks like he's remembering a joke he heard at school today. And is that his little sister? And gosh, it looks like she's just his best friend in all the world. You know, my little story game is fun, but when I sit down and talk to people, I'm almost always wrong, and I find out my stories are just that. They're stories. So what do you see when you look at someone? What kind of stories do you write for them? And more importantly, can you let go of that story to get to the real story? Now, Jesus loved telling stories, and he was really good at it because he used a lot of things that were familiar with people. And people understood his stories because they were so true, because they got to the story behind the story. He took things that were completely familiar and he turned them upside down. And he took people that everyone thought they knew the story of, and then he recast them in a new role. Jesus got to the story behind the story. He didn't see a blind man. He saw a young man who'd always wondered what he'd done to deserve blindness. He didn't see a prostitute. He saw a little girl who'd been taken advantage of when she was little and had been made to feel dirty. He didn't see a poor widow. He saw a broken-hearted mother who had lost her son. He didn't see a stranger. He saw someone with an untold story that was more precious than gold. He didn't see a lawyer. He saw a man tormented by his father's obsessive desire for perfection. But most of all, what Jesus saw was he saw wholeness in brokenness. He found worth in what everyone else had written off as worthless. He saw a treasure hidden in a field. He saw a pearl of greatest price. He saw that one lost sheep that was worth more than the entire flock. And he was tireless in going to find that one sheep. And when he found it, he rejoiced and he wept tears of joy. He saw things that other people couldn't see or perhaps wouldn't see. And he saw things that made other people angry because they couldn't see or maybe wouldn't see the things that he was seeing. And they got so angry that they had him put to death. So angry that they shouted, "Crucify him!" They saw him as a man on a cross, despised and rejected, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. But what God saw was his own glory revealed in suffering love. So how does he see you? What story does Jesus see in you? Or perhaps I should ask, what is your story? We've all got a story. Perhaps we're like onions with layers upon layers of stories. And what story do you want that people should write about you? What do you want other people to write in your biography? Successful, creative, funny, healthy, maybe young, fit, attractive, clever. But maybe there's another story, a story behind the story. A little girl whose father went away and never came home. A little boy who only ever believed that he was bad. A little girl who wanted nothing more than for her parents to stop shouting at each other. A woman who never felt lovely or beloved. A teenager picked on at school. A man who just wanted to feel like he fit in. But when Jesus was raised from the dead, it was a sign that God had validated and authenticated everything that Jesus had done in his lifetime. When we see the story of the resurrection, we find Mary, the first one there, a broken woman who had been so disappointed to see Jesus crucified, was suddenly validated in her faith and welcomed into the kingdom and became the very first witness of Jesus' new life. Thomas, who had secretly doubted Jesus all along, found his faith perfectly validated in the living presence of Jesus. Peter, who had failed the ultimate test of discipleship, was restored and forgiven and put in a place of profound leadership in the church. And what this means for us today is that all those dark places in our life, all those secret shames, all those broken bits that we don't want anyone to know about, can receive the light of Christ. A woman whose father abandoned them in childhood finds a heavenly Father. A person who believes that they're only bad can find forgiveness and new life. A woman who believes that she's unlovely and unlovable is suddenly declared beautiful by God. A man who feels as if he doesn't fit in finds a family. And all of those things that govern our lives secretly from underground can receive the light and the new life of Christ. This is what resurrection is all about, and this is the invitation that God gives to us to be healed and to be restored and to be given new life through the resurrected Jesus Christ. So friends, I ask, can you see Jesus seeing you? Can you see him seeing into those dark and secret places and saying of you, child, you are beloved? And most importantly, can you see Jesus seeing you through the eyes of those whose biographies you like to write? Can you see Jesus seeing you through the eyes of the widow and the orphan and the stranger? Take another look and see if you can't find Christ seeing you in the ones who would write your biography. For that is the miracle of Easter. Take another look at those pictures and see if you can't see Christ looking at you. See if you can't see him gazing into those very secret places and declaring you beloved and lovely. Taking what the world has called worthless and saying, this is worthy. Take some time today to think about how Christ sees you in those secret places and declares you beloved. And may God bless you in the doing of it. And I'll see you next time. Bye.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be